Hey everybody, this is Substitute Topher, and today we're driving my personal 1999 BMW M Roadster. This is powered by a naturally aspirated 3.2 liter inline six. It makes 240 horsepower and 236 pound-feet of torque. Power is sent to the rear wheels via a 5-speed manual and a limited slip differential. We're going to walk you around this BMW M Roadster, and then we'll take it out on the road, talk about what it's like to drive and what it's been like to own for the past few months. So before we take it out on the road, let's hop out, take a look at this beautiful M Roadster. So probably my favorite color on this car, Estral Blue, kind of the iconic M color of this era. Even though this is a Z3, it is still technically an E36 body code. So under the hood, you'll find the same 3.2 liter inline six as you would have found in the E36 M3. So this is basically like an M3 powered, well, it is, not basically, it is an M3 powered Z3. And you may be wondering, well, why didn't they just call this the Z3M? Why is it just called the M Roadster? And the way I understand it, and I've read a couple different articles, is that the BMW designers didn't want to disrespect the beauty and elegance of the Z3 by coming out with their, what was supposed to be a unique M Roadster car. So they used the same body as the BMW Z3, but they called it the M Roadster. And I think that that was a really good call because the Z3 is, of course, beautiful. We've got some BMW 507 inspired design language here on this M Roadster with these little side vents here that pay homage to the old BMW 507. So I've owned this car for a few months. It's been very fun. I bought it from my buddy Sean, who you guys will have seen a little while back on the channel in the Nissan Figaro. That was his car. I bought this car from technically a client of his and drove it all the way back up to Michigan from Peoria, Illinois, and it made that trip with no problems. And I'm sorry to say that it hasn't been totally trouble-free. In fact, you may be wondering why I'm filming this video on the Bonneville Salt Flats today, and that is because I actually planned on filming this car about a month ago, but literally the day I was going to film it, the power steering reservoir exploded and bloodbathed the entire floor of my garage. So not the most ideal thing in the world. As far as the tire setup on this M Roadster, we've got some Bridgestone Potenza Sport Summer Performance tires. On the front, 225/45/17, and on the back, 245/40/17. These have been some awesome tires to add to the driving experience of this car. They keep it glued to the road, and overall, probably the perfect fit for this M Roadster. Overall, super solid tire setup, and a huge shout out to Bridgestone for providing us with these tires here for the M Roadster. Also, don't forget to support your fellow YouTubers here. Very important. Let's take a look at the engine, the beating heart of the M Roadster. Not a super inspiring hood pop there. It like barely does anything. That's okay. Huge clamshell hood on this car. I love cars with massive hoods like this. Adds a little bit of character. Keen-eyed viewers would have noticed the Dynon badge on the back of this M Roadster, and that is because it does have a couple of Dynon goodies. We have a Dynon cold air intake. Over here we have a little Dynon tuner. It's a stage 1 car. You can see over here we've got a little tag here on the fender, Dynon high flow cold air intake. But this is the same S52 inline six that you would have found in many different M cars of this era. Pretty good engine. You can hear it idling quite smoothly there. Go ahead and shut this. Walk around to the back to show you one more thing, and then we'll take this car out onto the road. Dynon badge, of course, there on the trunk, and we do also have a Dynon exhaust on this car. So Dynon intake, Dynon exhaust, and a Dynon Stage 1 tune. The Stage 1 tune is said to add about 10 horsepower and 10 pound-feet of torque. So I figure with the intake and exhaust, maybe it adds 20. So we're probably sitting somewhere around 260 horsepower, about the same number for torque. In the inside, we do have some sport seats. We've got little Dynon logos there on the headrests. Otherwise, we've got an M Sport steering wheel and a couple of other things in here unique to the M Roadster. Of course, M floor mats. We've got some M Roadster badging here on the door sill. M Roadster badging on our cluster, but I do really love these sport seats. There were lots of cool funky color combinations when this car came out back in the late 90s. Unfortunately, we just have a black interior on this car. I would like if it did have the two-tone blue interior, but it's okay that we just have black. Otherwise in here we have some stick-on carbon fiber, which has deteriorated quite a bit and kind of makes the interior look a little bit worse than it actually is. We've got a BMW business radio here with a cassette tape little input there. I actually haven't tried a cassette in here yet. I should do that. We've got a couple, or a few I should say, little gauges down here. We've got a clock, a voltmeter, as well as an oil temp gauge. And that's just about it. We've got a power top here. There's a button for that. We've got heated seats. But I mean, this is all you got back in the late 90s. Not too much going on in this interior, and that is what I love about this car. It's just a pure driving experience. I know that's kind of cliche and overused, but this is a car from that era where everything was just about driving and nothing else. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw my earmuffs on so you guys can hear what I'm on about. We do have a wind deflector back here. It does a pretty good job of keeping things non-blustery in here, but I wanna make sure you guys can hear me and aren't totally cut out by the wind. So cool. Let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive, and we'll talk a little bit more about it while we're rolling. So I had my buddy Sean install a new clutch on this car while it was still down in Peoria at Kouth and Mayer. And I'm still not used to the way that this clutch feels. It releases very close to the floor, and it still feels good. You know, there's nothing weird about this clutch. It just feels very fresh, and I'm still just not super used to it. This car's done just over 105,000 miles. When I bought it, it had just over 104. So we've done about 1,000 miles in this car. A lot of that was the drive back from Peoria to Michigan. And actually, I shouldn't take credit for that. Charlie from Daily Motor actually drove this car all the way up about 400 miles, and he had an absolute blast in this thing. In fact, he's driven this car probably more than I have. Actually, definitely more than I have if you count the mileage from that trip. 5-speed manual in this car. The shifter feels, well, very BMW-ish. It definitely feels a little bit tired. I think it could probably use a shifter rebuild, and you'll see what I'm on about once we're actually rolling. Sometimes it's hard to distinguish between third and fifth gear. Hopefully I don't mess it up at all. All right, let's listen to this S52. Oh my goodness. I forgot how fast this car was. It's been down for about a month. I haven't driven it in a while. Oh, yes. This is such a sweet motor. And despite the sloppy shifter, it's still pretty easy to rev match your downshifts. It just took quite a bit of getting used to driving this car. That is a sweet, sweet noise from that S52. What's funny to me is that you could actually have this car with the S54, the E46 M3 motor, but that didn't come until 2001. So they didn't change the body or anything else about this M Roadster. They just stuck like 80 more horsepower under the hood in 2001. And those cars do cost quite a bit more money. It's much more cost effective to go ahead and get an S52 powered car. Ride quality is pretty good for a car of this nature. I'm sure this car has had some sort of suspension work done. It does actually have an upgraded front sway bar, which makes it quite dodgy. We're also being helped out quite a bit by those Bridgestone Potenza Sports that I showed you guys earlier. A wonderful tire. I specifically waited, or actually it just worked out that it happened to be 50 degrees today. Let's get some heat into these tires. These are a summer performance compound. You don't want to be running these when it's super cold out. Okay, so this is a yield, not a complete stop. Goodbye. Let's try that corner again. We'll get some heat into these tires. Makes such a good noise, and boy does it pull. I mean, it just pulls so hard through that power band. Ooh, some loose stones there. Ooh, all right. Let's try that again. No! Dang it! Let's try this one last time. Phenomenal front end grip here from this car. A beautifully sorted chassis. And boy do those Potenza Sports help this thing. Holy crap. Oh, I love revving that motor out. All right, let's go ahead and pull off up here. We'll put the top up and we'll do some quieter driving here. Talk a bit about what this car has been like to own. All right, pretty simple when it comes to putting the roof up. We do actually have auto down windows. Go ahead and do those real quick. And you just gotta have your foot on the brake and you hold this button here. The roof emerges. And that's it. You got to do the rest of it for it. Though you should first make sure that your latches are open, which I did not do. This will pull the roof the rest of the way shut. Like so. Put your visors back up. Roll our windows back up, and oh dear, the rear window has just decided that it no longer wants to be a rear window. Okay, well, everyone, we have caught that live here on the channel, although it looks like you can zip a new one in pretty easily, so that's probably not too big of a deal. But mind that, if you're wondering why you've got some wind noise in here now, even with the roof up. You know what? I'm taking that as a good thing, because now we'll be able to hear the beautiful Dynon exhaust just that much better with the roof up. Sometimes life is all about being optimistic. Anyways, though, that's a pretty good description of how this car has been to own. Just when you think everything is sorted, everything's good, you go out for a drive, something like that happens. And I'm sorry to say that a lot of BMWs of this era and this generation are kind of that way. I have owned a few older BMWs, and they always punch you while you're down. If something goes wrong, you get it sorted out, and then immediately there is something else. And it's a good thing that this car is so phenomenal to drive, because otherwise, owners would not put up with silly little things like this happening. But we forgive these cars for being so brilliant and so driver focused. This E36 generation was a really good time for BMW. They had all of their ducks in a row, and they were putting out a ton of phenomenal cars. There was this, the E36 M3. A little bit later, there was the E39 M5, the Z8, the X5 4.6 IS. There were all sorts of cool cars from BMW from this era, and in my opinion, the best era, the most ultimate, as BMW would probably say, the most ultimate era. And I'm happy that I've gotten to experience a car like this and really get to know an older M car. We do drive quite a few newer M cars, so it's cool to drive an older one like this and see where it all came from. It's interesting to me that values on these M Roadsters really haven't surpassed the values of just regular E36 M3s. A car like this in its rough-ish cosmetic shape with 105,000 miles realistically is probably going to set you back somewhere around $14,000 to $15,000. And honestly, a similar M3 would be the same, if not more than that. And it really just kind of baffles me. I guess it's because the M3 has a little bit more of a cult following, because there haven't been really any other M Roadsters besides the Z4 M generation car. So the M Roadster hasn't been around for as long, and it no longer exists. So I don't know, I guess the cult following just isn't really there. But I mean, if you peel away the skin, this is basically just a shorter, lighter E36 M3. It's just so light and effortless. We were behind a little bit of traffic there, and tires aren't super hot, but I mean, it really is a joy to drive this thing. Super quick rack here, steering. Yeah. There are some parts of this car that, well, as you can see back there, are deteriorating. And, well, apart from the rear window that just let go, if you haven't noticed, the driver's seat moves back and forth on its rails, which is a fun feature. Heat is hot. It doesn't do it all the time, but if you are doing some hard braking into a corner, you definitely have to prepare for the fact that you are going to slide forwards. And apparently this is a common issue among M Roadsters. It is, what do they call it? The seat bushings? Only BMW would find a way to have bushings in the seat wear out. Also, the glove box over there, as you can see, is hanging on for absolute dear life. I've got an oversized long screw coming in from the side that's holding it in. And that's just about the only thing holding the glove box on. So hopefully that stays together for the rest of the video. It's been hanging on now for a couple of months. But I don't care about any of that. And, you know, most BMWs of this era that have been driven are going to have weird interior things like that. Like E36 M3, door panels fall off and other things break. But that's not what these cars are about. These cars are about their beautiful design and their powertrain. It's a shame that BMW couldn't really get the materials right back in the 90s, but you know, you live and you learn, and hopefully some of the newer materials they're using will hold up a little bit better. To sum everything up, I'm really happy that I went ahead and bought this car a few months ago. It's been a whole lot of fun, and kind of going off of what I said earlier about driving new M cars and learning and seeing where they came from, I really, really appreciate how driver-focused these older M cars were. This is what M cars should feel like. You kind of get the sense with the newer cars that they're really just trying to appeal to tools and people that just want to go really fast in a straight line, like the new xDrive M5 and M8 cars that are blisteringly fast, but don't really have that really good driver-focused feel through the steering or anything else. I mean, shoot, you can't even have a manual transmission in an M5 anymore. You can still, luckily, have a manual in an M2 or an M3 or an M4, but I mean, how long until they just completely phase out the manual? I don't know. The newer Z4s, they don't offer a manual, but you can have a manual in the Toyota Supra, and it's basically the same car. So, you know, BMW's been good about keeping some things around, but boy, are these older M cars a total treat to drive. And I think these M Roadsters, you can still have them for a reasonable price. They're not super appreciated in the way that I would assume that they would be. So honestly, go out, have yourself an M Roadster. If you want to buy this one, I'll replace that rear rear top plastic for you first before I sell it to you, but I would be willing to sell this one if anyone in the comments is interested. If you're a subscriber of the TheTopher, I'll give you a little discount on the car if you are interested, but it will probably be up for sale soon. I haven't totally decided yet what I want to do. I always think that I want to sell it and then I go out and drive it and then promptly change my mind. Anyways, that's just about going to wrap it up for us. I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to this beautiful S52. This car is a ton of fun on the road. I hope that was communicated here through the lens. We'll get out, we'll take one last walk around this thing, and that'll be it for us today. Proper mechanical handbrake. Go ahead and shut it off here. Stick her in first gear. All right. All right, cool guys. Well, if you got any questions, comment down below. I'll do my best to answer them. I don't know if we'll do any more videos on this car. We'll see if it sticks around in time for spring. Can do some more videos. Man, that looks sad. What a shame. That is the 90s BMW way, as has been demonstrated live for all of you. All right, cool. Well, thank you guys all so much for watching. It's been a blast taking this car out today. Probably the last time for this season. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.